Hey guys, I'm Wittert, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new line of InfinityMice mousepads. Specifically, in front of me I have the InfinityMice Control V2 variant in an extra large square soft. But the build quality on both the speed and the control variant are the same, and I'll mention and discuss the speed pad throughout this video as well. So, starting off with the price and the build quality. The price of this pad in at 490 by 420 millimeters is $35, and at 490 by 490 millimeters, which is what I have, is $40. So it is a fairly cheap enthusiast pad, if you want to call it that, but the build quality is not cheap in the slightest. The base is what they call an IPU plus base, which is just a fancy word for their blend of Poron. And I've noticed that this pad does not move around in-game at all, and honestly it's kind of hard to move around on my desk, so that should not be an issue for you at all. And it also has this cool infinity snake design on the bottom, which I thought was a very nice touch, especially for a budget pad. However, if you do end up taking this pad off your desk and putting it into storage, you'll notice that the edges of the pad start to stay like warped on your desk. And that could be annoying, which that just comes with Poron. That's what Poron does over time, so it doesn't really matter in the long run. Most of the high-end pads are Poron, and if you're having it on your desk anyway, it's going to stay flat. So other than that, this pad comes in at 4 millimeters thick, and I'll do a little water bottle test because I have the soft variant, so it is a very plushy, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a very plushy mouse pad, and it's very comfortable to play on. And even the stitching has this like plushy feeling to it, which I thought was a very weird feeling, because usually the stitching is very hard, but this is a very comfortable pad to play on, and it feels like a very thin, dense foam. Anyway, speaking of the stitching, I have been using this pad and seen no wear on the stitching at all where I've been playing, and the stitching is about surface level, maybe a little bit under surface level, and it has very similar plushiness to the rest of the pad. It's got very tight stitches, but it's not as tight as like an Artisan or some of the other bigger brands. So I'm not sure how well it's going to hold up for very long-term use. But again, this mousepad's coming in at $35, so at that point it doesn't really matter. You can probably just buy another one. But it's very comfortable to play on for long periods of time because of the plushiness, and the longevity of the pad is definitely here. The mousepad isn't coated, so you're not going to notice any sluggishness over time, and it'll be very consistent to play on. And overall for build quality, I'd say this pad is probably a solid 9 out of 10. Nextly, the glide. Specifically, the control pad in front of me has a very smooth and controlled glide. It is very hard to get the mouse moving, so I wouldn't recommend using a heavy mouse with a surface at all. This pad will be great for games like TAC FPSs, which is what I usually play. If I had to compare it to a mouse pad, I'd say it feels like a slower Saturn Pro. But once you get the mouse moving, you have complete control over it. It feels so smooth, and that initial movement is definitely sluggish, which is what people want in a control pad, but it's definitely not for me. But here's a little glide test and spin test for you. Now, if you're looking to buy the speed variant of this mousepad, I can't speak for myself as I haven't tried it, but I've heard that the glide is a little slower than an Artisan Raiden, and it also has a very smooth feeling. So overall for glide, I'd give the control variant an 8 out of 10. And I think that if you like more controlled pads, you'll have a very smooth time on this mousepad. And I think it's definitely too slow for most people. But again, if you're a big fan of TAC FPSs, I couldn't recommend this more. So you might have to disregard what I'm saying because this might just be perfect for you. This is going to be a little bit biased because I am used to using hybrid or speed pads, but using this pad in game, I did notice that I had complete control over my aim and it felt very nice. But as I kept using it, I realized that sometimes when people were peeking me, I would react a little bit slower, and I knew it wasn't my reaction necessarily, but I think it's just that initial amount of friction that you have to use to get the mouse moving that kind of was throwing me off. So if you're not used to control pads, obviously I wouldn't recommend a control pad for you, but I mean, nothing hurts to try. Again, this is a very budget pad coming in at just $35. So if you want to step your feet into more slower pads and see how you play with them, I think this is a great first option for you, especially at the price point. So overall, if you like slower controlled mouse pads, this control variant is absolutely amazing for the price, and I'd probably give it a 22 out of 25. If you know you don't like controlled variants, I probably would not recommend this mouse pad because it is a very slow mouse pad. And this was a very huge step into the scene with a very impressive mousepad from InfinityMice. The old line that they had, the V1, had some issues when you washed it with peeling, but I haven't noticed this at all. I actually did wash it, and it does not peel at all. So, again, they've had a very big step up, and this is a very good mousepad for $35, and I couldn't recommend it more, especially if you don't want to spend the extra money for an enthusiast pad or whatever. But if you like faster pads, I haven't personally used it, but I would very much recommend the speed variant. The build quality is going to be the exact same, and honestly, this company is just doing amazing work, so I wouldn't mind supporting them for a nice pad. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you like this video, consider liking and subscribing so I'm able to keep making these videos. Anyways, bye!